For example, the student loan changes that the U.S. Supreme Court struck down.
It sounds like there is a difference between the two candidates, though, in that there are some actions that Trump could take without the courts. Am I right about that? He could reclassify civil servants and start firing people he finds inconvenient, to give one example.
Absolutely. I mean, he could try to do everything without the courts, and the question is, would the court stop him? And when it comes to civil service reclassification, he's arguing he can do this under existing statutory authority, and nothing in law or the Constitution would stop him. And on that point, the courts may well agree.
Jeffrey Rosen, president of the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Now to the capital of the Czech Republic, Prague, where people visit for its history, its architecture, and...
Yeah, they're also not tardy for the party, as captured in this video on the YouTube channel Walking Oz.
Prague is also famous for its cheap beer. In a lot of places, a beer costs less than a bottle of water, so as you can imagine, that means a lot of tourists head to Prague to get drunk, and it's bothering residents of the city.
We had a lot of complaints from our citizens, specifically regarding the increased noise levels in the central district.
That's Giancarlo Lamberti, a local official for the district that makes up much of the city's historic heart, known as Prague 1. It's also where tourists enjoy late-night pub crawls, which Lamberti says are causing a nuisance.
We also had some evidence from the city police that they registered cases of aggression, some disorderly conduct, and also driving kind of the instruments.
So starting tonight, the city is banning businesses from hosting pub crawls after 10 p.m. Bars will still be allowed to stay open, though.
But some businesses say the ban won't work. Getting rid of guided tours of local pubs, they say, will make the problem worse.
They've decided not really to ban pub crawls, but instead they've gotten rid of guides. And by getting rid of guides, it's only going to make the problem in the city worse.
William Barron co-owns the Drunken Monkey Prague, which specializes in tours and events for younger tourists. He says businesses like his already have guardrails to curb rowdy behavior.
We have tour guides, we have security, and they're there to make sure that people don't drink alcohol on the streets, aren't loud and singing in public, and make it from one place to the other as soon as possible.
City officials hope the ban will deter tourists who visit Prague mainly to get drunk cheap and instead attract more, quote, refined and cultured visitors.
I mean, well, that sounds like they want me to visit Prague, Layla.
Or me. But Barron says tourists will keep coming to party. He wants the city to find more practical solutions.
I know the bars in Prague 1 would help pay for double pane windows for residents so that they could have soundproofed windows. That's an option.
Or another option, busing the more annoying tourists elsewhere.
We could work with the city in order to have buses that take people outside of the city center to places where there aren't noise problems.
Send them to a different city and make it their problem. This is Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Leila Fadel.
And I'm A. Martinez.
Good morning. This is meteorologist Russ Murley with your WTJX local forecast for Friday, November 1st. A flood watch remains in effect. It looks like we'll continue to see heavier rain early this morning, but things become lighter and more showery as we head through the midday into the afternoon. 83 to 87 today, east to southeast winds at 10 to 15. Tonight becoming partly cloudy, nighttime low 76 to 80. It'll be partly sunny at times tomorrow. Isolated showers, upper 80s. Spotty showers tomorrow night, upper 70s. Partly sunny at times, isolated showers Sunday, 87 to 91. This WTJX local forecast is brought to you by the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency.
WTJX 93.1 Charlotte Amalia, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
Yes. Greetings, blessings, and good day to one and all in the Virgin Islands, VI land, the people of the VI. We love you. We appreciate you. This is Analyze This, and you are here with Akeem McIntosh, your guest host for the week, filling in once again for Mr. Neville James. And, it's another day in paradise. Ain't as sunny as we are accustomed to it being, but, it's still cool, even though, it's overcast. Like I said yesterday, we're expecting some rain, some weather. Maybe before we get into our conversations for the day, we could call up the weather center and get a little introduction as to what to expect for the day weather-wise. Like I said, you could look out and you can see that it's overcast, but it's still lovely even though it's overcast, because life is about balance and duality. You can appreciate the sunshine if you don't have the rain, and you can appreciate the rain if you don't get an overdose of sunshine. And we well know that we've been having a significant overdose of sunshine for the past couple months, so let's make the most of the weather that we have right now. So find your family, get your comfort foods, and hug up in the bed, hug up on the couch. You know what I mean? Whether you're there with your lover, you're there with your children, you're there with your husband and your wife and your entire family, your grandmother, everybody, and just watch a movie. Make it a movie night, movie day. I don't know, family time. I tell people when I was young, I used to look forward to Hurricane because, when we were young, I used to look forward to Hurricane. I know it sounds funny, but when I was a child, our family actually lived in a yard. My grandmother had a yard, she still live in a yard, but the yard had 3 houses, and me and my mother and my brother lived in one house, and then we had a next aunt that had lived in a next house. So, but 2 other houses, one was the main house and a garage. So the 2 of them were actually connected. So everybody used to move from, like, anybody in the 3rd house would just move over to the big house, and we would all be in the 2-house space, just running back and forth, all the family together in one big house. So you got like 3 families, my 2 aunts and their children, and me and my mother and her children, and my grandmother, all of us in one house together as one family. So hurricanes and weather is always like uplifting for me because of those past memories. But I think we have the weather center on the line, so let's see what they have to tell us. Weather people, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How about yourselves and the rest of the people over there?
We're doing well. Good. It's not too wet, but it's cool, and that's good.
Much needed rains, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Temperatures,
Definitely.
That's good.
So what you have for us today?
Well, what we have today is it's going to be very moist, cloudy. You're getting little breaks right now. There's some light rain across the area right now, but we still have the influence of the upper level trough, which is reflected all the way down to the surface. What that means is that it's still in the area. Any break in cloudiness throughout the day, activity is going to start forming and developing, so the potential exists for additional amounts of rainfall, rains again across the islands. They're starting, I'd say, about the heaviest rains expected afternoon and into the evening hours again. You will also see some hazardous marine conditions. Right now we have, high surf advisories out until Saturday morning for portions of the island. We have high rip currents out there until Sunday morning. Small craft advisories for the, most of the waters. And because we have some pretty much strong swells coming in from the northeast, and that's going to continue through the weekend. We also have the flash flood watch out, which is going to continue at least through Saturday morning. We're going to continue to watch that. All depends on how much and how fast this stuff moves out of the area. Regardless, though, what I want to say is that once we get breaks in clouds, the residual moisture around with the heating during the day, every day, at least until early next week, I'd say Monday, Tuesday, there's a chance for, thunderstorms and shower development, especially early morning, and then again in the afternoon and evening hours.
Okay. Well, thanks for the update. We really appreciate it. Before we let you go, any small craft advisories out that we should be aware of?
Yes, that's what I said, that we have a small craft advisory out until Sunday morning. Hazardous marine conditions are going to continue through the weekend. So, and that's, like I said, we have swells coming in, and that's going to continue through the weekend, making seas hazardous, and also coastal areas, the rip currents. Okay?
All right.
Like I said, the high surf. What I can say is just take your umbrellas out there. You're going to get breaks. It's going to be cloudy, but at least one good thing is you're getting some water over there, and it's a little bit cooler.
Definitely. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a good day.
All right. You have a blessed one. You know, as we talk about, before we brought the weatherman on, I was just talking about childhood memories related to weather. And I remember another memory that I thought about as he talked about high surf is when we were younger, we used to go, sometimes we would go to the beach when the surf was high, and we would actually be like swimming in the waves, trying to ride the wave into the shoreline, and it's so funny because, when you think about it, these things is like real hazardous conditions that we that we playing in, but it was just fun memories, man. It was fun memories. So yeah, but everybody be safe, play at your own risk. Make sure you do it safely. If you need, swim with a helmet. I don't know. No, man, I just joking. But yeah, so and to today we have some interesting conversations that are going to be taking place. First and foremost, we have Mr. Pollo Goodings in the building with us today.
Morning.
So Pollo, how you doing?
I great. A little tired, but
oh yeah,
I good.
Hey, listen, right? My father used to say a man's work is never done.
Never done. I learned that building house. A house is a never-ending project.
Mm-hmm.
So now I learning that.
Well, you ain't just building a house, my boy. You're building a home.
Right.
And it's a big difference because a house is just a structure.
Yeah.
A home is a place where you could rest your head and you could relax and
it's
feel
an environment that you
create.
Exactly.
You could
just
feel
like what you said with
safe.
a hurricane time and everybody bundling up together.
Yeah. It'd be nice. So before we get to, we could start ranting and rambling, right? So introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and what you do.
Oh, well, the government and all too?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so for those who do not know me, my name is Charles Goodings Jr., better known as Pollo or Apollo Legion or DJ Pollo.
Pollo
just Pollo on the bass. Yeah, so that's who I am.
Pollo the builder.
Yeah, everything, jack of all trades, master of none.
Hey, but they say it's better to be a master of one than, or something like that. They actually have an additional
saying,
piece to it.
Oh,
I'm going to send it to you when I
yes,
leave you.
Please do.
But yeah, go ahead.
But I just basically, I do everything. I do what I love and I love what I do. And full-time entrepreneur. And that's about it for now, right now, until we talk. And then I'll explain my experiences in life.
You said something that I really love and appreciate because I could relate. Where you say you do what you love and you love what you do.
Yeah.
Because as an entrepreneur, yes, there are a lot of struggles, when it comes to like having that stability and that steady paycheck coming in, that steady money coming in. But it's a significant trade-off because you got the struggles, you got the hardships and the difficulties, but it's so much fulfillment that comes with being an entrepreneur, knowing that like you take your own two hands and your time and your energy to make something out of nothing, and that something is actually turning into something that has become like sustenance for you.
Actually, is even from the thought, the fact that it came from your mind, and then you apply it now, and then you see the reaction from people.
Man, that love that you get from like the public.
It makes it worth it. You understand? It all depends. And I always feel this is just my logic. This is how I think about it. If your intentions are not pure in what you do, it will never last.
Yep. And it's so funny because when your intentions are pure, it goes so much further, and you make so much more of an impact in ways that you didn't even think about doing when you first started.
No, and I'll use Apollo Legion for example. And when I started it, it was just, I never wanted to be a t-shirt brand. Everybody calls it a t-shirt brand, but I can't blame them because that's as far as they think, understand? But for me, it was like, okay, well, I want something that be out there. I used to walk in clothing stores like Strictly the Breasts, Urban Threads, and I would see a cool Rockaway, LRG. I was a big fan of LRG at that time. Lifted Research Group. And I said, man, why we don't have something from the Virgin Islands? They supreme. They too was small time. They started somewhere. They're a local from wherever they from. So why we can't have something that's known worldwide and from the VA? I just wanted to represent home. That's all it was for me. And create a clothing brand that's from the Virgin Islands that be known worldwide. And now, today, believe it or not, this October made 8 years.
Oh, wow.
So I started out the trunk of my car, my Raga Honda Civic. You know, and now I had 2 stores, got online presence.
Let me find out you're a black Arab. Cause you know they talk about the Arab, then they say they had start off selling outer like a
my mother
bag.
make the joke sometimes. She said, I don't know. You let me find out you Arab or something because I remember they used to come wrong with the suitcases, and then she would tell me, you know, come CJ, come go outside and pay, give him this. All the time, me, you know, I paying whatever, but you have to start. You have to start somewhere. You understand? And it's never you'll never know the perfect time to quit a job or start something new. You can't tell nobody, oh, well, I'm going to start on this date. Sometimes it come to you, okay, I'm ready to start now. And I just ready, you know, you just leave everything behind. You're willing to say, well, okay, cool. I'm willing to take all the risks and let's go move forward. Whatever happen, come hell or high water, we're going to do it. We're going to try. And we're going to figure out on the way.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, you got to give God thanks that you were blessed, that you were able to make it as far as you. I mean, 8 years in the game and you're still going strong. So, I mean, hey, that's a blessing right there.
Amen to that.
Because
I always believe in that.
How many businesses, not just like clothing brands, but how many businesses you've seen since you started that come and basically gone?
Especially during the COVID era, you understand? I still feel like we're resetting from COVID.
Yeah, of course.
It's not as drastic as it was in the beginning, but I'm telling you, I believe in God, and that's big shout outs to my grandmother. She always instilled that church, and that not really just the church, you know, just having that faith, because as an entrepreneur, you need that faith. You have to. I don't care what you believe in, Buddha, whatever it is, you believe in something. Whether it is yourself, because at the end of the day, you do believe yourself. Who in the right mind would think about creating a business or quitting a job that they gain the security of a paycheck every 2 weeks to say, yeah, I going to create something and I going to run with it? You have to believe in something, you understand? But I do believe in God. And you have to have faith as an entrepreneur. It's one of those characteristics as an entrepreneur. You have to have. It is a must, because if you don't believe in yourself, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I again, the interview is really about you, but I kind of want to piggyback on what you're saying, you know, because me, again, as an entrepreneur myself, when I first started, I started making my products and selling my products in 2017, right? That's when I initially started selling, just, you know, and I ain't really selling. That's
you
like,
have to start
that's
somewhere.
making and just like probably like sharing with friends and co-workers and stuff like that, and then start getting little sales here and there, right? But it wasn't until 2021 that I made up my mind that I was going to start like selling my own products, right? Like full time.
Right.
And I mean, I didn't just jump from my job to then doing it full time, but it was kind of like I had to build a certain like infrastructure within my business for me to do that. And you know, when I made up my mind and I told people I was going to do that, I was working for the federal government at the time, and people were like, "You crazy? You know, what you doing? What you thinking?" You know, but I just know to myself where I was isn't where I wanted to be, and where I wanted to go was this direction that was really based on me, you know, and I, even though at the time people couldn't see it, I myself, I necessarily didn't see it, you know, but I had faith that it was possible. you know.
Right,
And
right.
I because I made up my mind that that's what was going to happen, I saw 1-2 opportunities. So I said, well, okay, I'm gonna just jump on the opportunities that are in front of me right now, and just over time more and more opportunities just open up, even though, like, again, I didn't see it at the time, which is why going. And I ain't necessarily a biblical person, but I believe that there's spiritual truth in the Bible, and the Bible
yeah.
say walk by faith, not by
Not by
sight.
sight,
You check.
exactly.
So like I said, even though I couldn't see the vision all the way through, I had faith that the reality was
No,
there
but
for me to
they
manifest,
they
you know.
there were definitely moments I could definitely attest to that. There were moments that you saw some kind of progress where it gave you that sort of enlightenment. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
The one biggest the one big characteristic of being an entrepreneur, what people take for granted, is being a visionary.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy being the first or creating something new, which is basically both if you look in all aspects of things. And when I made the decision, because when I started Apollo Legion, I was in my junior year of college. First of all, I go in college and then I end up working for myself. It was like, are you dumb?
Mm-hmm.
But I had the vision for myself, like, okay, I need a backup plan just in case, that if this doesn't work out or whatever, because the negative is inevitable. You're going to think about the negative, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be like, what if I try this? What if I don't make a sale? I've even had people, my friends, close friends and family, some of them would be like doubting it. You'd be like, you sure?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I started in my junior year of college, and I saw how much, what I was doing. Not only saw how much I was making or whatever, I actually had fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really into like that customer experience, that customer business, like customer service kind of vibe, you understand? And I really take pride in what I do. I like that satisfaction that I give the customers, where when they buy a shirt and be like, oh my God, this quality is really nice. Or I really like that design. That's so creative. And it's like, dude, you do it. You did that.
Yep.
The countless hours that you stay up. Sometimes an entrepreneur cannot sleep because the mind itself is racing. The body is tired.
Yeah, for sure,
but the mind is racing. I'm up sometimes 1, 2, 3 in the morning. I get up to use the bathroom or whatever, and then next thing you know, I up and I can't go back to sleep.
All right, on that note, we're gonna take a short pause for the cars and be right back.
Yes, sir.
We're back here and analyze this. WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR radio station in the Virgin Islands. And please don't forget, please remember, we're streaming live at WTJX.org. We're here once again with Mr. Pollo, Goodings of Apollo Legion. And we're live on Facebook, so make sure you check us out there. Pollo, you still with us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so before we went on a break, you were talking about, some of the challenges with other people seeing your vision, right?
Man.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you've experienced, or some of the biggest challenges that you've experienced since you started your clothing brand, and that you had to overcome to where you are now.
I guess it would have to be my. It sounds funny. The irony in it is, I think, it's my stubbornness that caused me to get where I am right now. You know how I got where I am right now, where, if somebody tell me, man, Pollo, you can't do that. And if I feel like I could do it, best believe it. Oh, they'd say I couldn't make the football team as a 9th grader. I did it in Central High. The fact that with my weight and I playing volleyball and I'm actually jumping, I just wanted to just put that out there. You understand? Now my knees, feel like 68, but it was worth it at high school or whatever. But
you still playing now?
Yeah, I still play sometimes, but I can't jump as good as I used to now. But it's just me. Like, if I really, when they say the mind is a terrible thing to waste, that is serious, because I really thought I could do it. And if I didn't do it, I'll be like, well, okay, I tried. Because when I started now, Apollo Legion, when I started Apollo Legion, it was like, oh no, man, you ain't gonna make no money doing that. It's not, you're gonna last for about 6 months, and you only sell like 300 shirts, and then that's it. And then how much shirts you really think you could sell? And I said, well, first of all, that's where you went wrong. It was never just a t-shirt brand. You have hats. I have made hats. I've made book bags. I've made socks. I've made t-shirts, polo shirts. Don't talk about the school shirts, because the polo shirts for the school children right now is like Jordans.
I even see the tie and so.
The tie, yeah, they're doing, and it's just crazy that, it started in my head. It's like, okay, I don't know, man. I don't like to say it, but I had that like Arab mentality kind of way, But I saw the demand for it, or
You saw the market for it.
You saw the market for it, and I said, well, and even if I didn't see it, if somebody come to me, I will like,
you were gonna make it?
I would try. I said, I'll try it, man. That kind of way. So when they said, oh, you wouldn't last 6 months. It's 8 years now. October made 8 years. Oh, you wouldn't sell more than 300 shirts. I sold over 5,000 shirts. You understand? And the fact that the shirts traveled more than me, I have never visited some of the places I have sold my merchandise to. And I talking about China, Alaska, Rio, Lebanon, which is like a country in Arabic country.
That's Middle
You
East.
understand? I'm big in India, and it's crazy that I am reaching out to a market, and when they say the kindness of strangers, it really, that's how it is. You never know who you're going to meet. No, and those that like really talk about the mainland, like the regular places where VIP people travel, New York, Florida, and it just is baffling to me sometimes that, dude, imagine if you had listened to that one negative comment. Imagine if, they say, why if you don't make it? And I would reply to them and be like, what if I do? Then what? What are we going to do? If I decide, life is a gamble and a hole. You never know. You could walk outside your house and get shot, God forbid, and you die right there. Or you could walk outside and you could play the lottery and become a millionaire today.
For sure.
You
And
understand?
it's sad sometimes, most of the time the negative comments ain't coming from like random people that
Oh
you
no,
don't
it's
talk
from
to.
people in your
It's-
circle.
Yeah, people that you close to. And ain't necessarily that what they're saying is valid or like,
Well,
true,
negative.
like true,
I
It's
know what you mean. It's more coming from
their own fear.
Yeah, well, they inflict their fears on you. Yeah, that's another thing I was going to get into. But really and truly, it's coming from a loving place. The intentions were not to hurt you, but they are trying to protect you of that hurt from the world, because the world can be a cruel place
Yeah, of course.
sometimes. It has some rough people and some people that would really, really say some stuff that would make you want to, if you don't have a strong mind, well, other stuff, we're not going to say that word right now, but you would want to quit, however perspective you want to take it, whether it be quit a life, quit a job, quit, they would make you want to quit, and you cannot let that stop you.
For sure. But is again, you have people that love you and care about you, right? So naturally they're gonna want to protect you.
You're right.
But then you have people so the ones that want to protect you, they're gonna try to deter you from a walking a path that they feel is a path of failure. Right?
And that's because they didn't themselves.
Exactly.
Did
They
not
feel
see
like they
the-
can't do it, right?
Right, yeah.
So they feel like you can't do it. But then you have those that love you and okay, this is the road that you want to go. Well, this is the road that we go in. And they're gonna go with you. And I'll give you a quick example, right? I remember a night, I got two brothers, right? I remember a night I been to a jam, Aqua Lounge, right?
Right.
Years ago,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And there to the jam, and I happened to bump. I think I was going to meet one of my brothers there, and I end up another brother of mine been there, right? So we been to the jam, and when you look now, the vehicle, they had somebody say, "Oh, if you lost your keys they're up on the stage." Right, so I said, well, okay, let me feel my package just to make sure I got my keys, because I confident me ain't my keys. When you look now, because they don't describe the keys, I know ain't mine. But I just said for my own security, let me feel my pocket to make sure I got my keys. When you look, me ain't got my keys, right? So I said, let me go and I hope me ain't lock my keys in my car. When you look, I go and look in the car, the keys sitting right on the seat, right? So now I went to one of my brother them, and my brother was like, wow, man, lock my keys in the car, but I think I could pick it. I think I could get it out. He like, big man, the only thing you could do is call a wrecker. Right? So I say, all right, whatever. I know me want to call no wrecker, cause me want to spend that money.
Exactly.
You check? But what ended up happening now, I went to my next brother, and he said, well, me no, but we could try a thing. Man, this man, he hesitate partner, snapper antenna off a Cavalier.
No.
We managed to pry the door open a little bit. I think I had a knife in my pocket or something. So we managed to like squeeze it in and pry the door open. And he stick the antenna in, and he was able to press the button. But because the vehicle have an anti-lock system, the button won't respond. He would have had to pull the latch itself.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, we still had to end up calling a wrecker, which my other brother were right. You know what I mean? But the fact that this next brother was willing to like take the chance with me, you know what I mean, and put in the work, that he get like 100 points for that, whereas my brother get like, my next brother like get like negative 100.
Yeah,
you know what I
we
mean?
want that kind of energy.
You know what I mean? It's still loving her. It's still loving her, but you know who gonna go the extra mile for you,
right?
You know what I mean? And them there is the ones that you really want to stick close to or keep around you. You
and
know?
that don't, when you say that, it goes both ways, whether friends or family. Sometimes Akeem, I would be there. I don't want to know something. I believe I'm borderline crazy, because the ideas I have, it would be like, never. Why would you think that? And then when I do it, they be like, what, I really working on Pollo? Like, for real. And I have, that would, why I say all of that to say this, that sometimes having the right people in your circle and just believe in whatever you do as a person, forget the thought that it was. They just want to believe in you. They believe in you. They were like, if one man, I had friends say that, if one man could do it, it's Pollo. So Kali, he could do that, because I gonna get it done. I gonna try, or I gonna put you in contact with somebody that can get it done. You understand? And you just need that little bit of that small percentage of faith from your older brother. You know, it's like you get two brothers, and one is like the good angel, one is bad angel. But I mean, both of them are still angels at the end of the day. You understand? And they coming from a good place. It's not a place to like discourage you or deter you from doing good. It's like, I don't want you to get hurt, so don't do it. I don't think this is good. Based on my experience, I don't know. And that's how it is sometimes when I started. A lot of businesses, oh God, don't start talk about the container home. Oh my God.
Okay, so I want to talk about that, but before we get into the container home, I want to talk about like stores. Cause I know you had a couple stores. You had one in Frederickstead, and then you had one
that was another blind faith moment. I was in Frederickstead King Street, across from I think it's Stacy Plaskett building. I want to say that the office.
Yeah, that one. I think where Napoleon's was.
Yeah, right next to right next to Napoleon's.
Alba's where Alba's there.
Yeah. Right. So the man had it there for a while, and I keep driving past. I grew up in Frederickstead. I just this is my backyard. So I said, okay, well, you know what? Let me try a thing. Just ask the man. I see the sign for rent. I call, I meet with him, and I tell the man straight up. I told the business owner, the building owner, I said, I don't know. I've never run a business before. I've never owned a store, but I would like to try. And he said, okay, cool. And then we start negotiating the rent, the monthly rent, and I was like, I really don't know, but I have X amount of dollars in my pocket right now. This is what we're going to agree on. Let's do a short-term lease, 3 months. Akeem, I never worked so hard from time there, every day. And all then I was teaching education. So I would get up 6 a.m., go to work for 7, finish work at 3, go straight down west, grab something to eat, go down west, and I stayed there till like 11, 12 in the morning. Sometimes later, and get back up to do it again. And I was like, I was so focused, I didn't even realize that how tired or how much I was draining my body. Because I had a vision. I stayed there and painted the whole building. Keep in mind, never touch a paintbrush in my life. Never build nothing more than a dark house. And I stayed there, and they were like, you ever paint before? You don't know what you're doing? I said, no. But guess what? If you mess up, I could buy more paint and I could try again. Because I ain't paying somebody quote me like $4,000 or $5,000. I said, sir, I don't know who you owe, but I can't help you. Wherever it is, I can't help you. Because I don't know where there's I said, man, I don't know who you owe, but I can't help you.
You know, before you continue, right? I've told you this before, you're going to live a long time, you know.
Oh, you said that then.
Because laughter is medicine for the soul, man.
Pray
and
so,
you full of laughter,
I pray so. Because, Akeem, the stuff I have experienced in my life, you have to laugh, man, because I've seen a lot of stuff, not to go negative, but the fact that I live past my 30s is a blessing from where I'm from. You understand? And I have seen stuff happen right in front of me, stuff happen near me where it wasn't intended for me, but I was like within inches again, and and all I could say is God. Thank God for whoever praying for me, everybody who praying for me, and myself, because if I had made certain decisions, I wouldn't be here today. You understand? And that was something I used to preach to the students. I don't care what it is. I said the difference between a rich man and a poor man is the choices in life.
Rich dad, poor dad.
I never even read the book.
No?
I found out about that watching a YouTube channel.
Yeah, you need to check out that book.
And a lot of millionaires or successful people have read that book. Now I want to read the book. I quoting or I paraphrasing quotes from the books, and I never even read it. I never read the book.
See, but that's to show you got a mindset of a rich man.
I have the mindset of I don't want to struggle. That's why I don't want to struggle. I tired. I done. I don't want. I know where it came from, and that hustle came from seeing like I grew up in a family where like a lot of people in the house, and my mom, my mother, I don't talk Crucian, my mother, Anita Gibbs, you know, and my grandmother, you know, Sylvia Gibbs, and we grew up on the west side, and they showed me a way like get your own. You no matter how bad it is, get your own. You don't jealous of nobody for they think or you don't know what they did or what they had to go through to get it. You understand? And you know, growing up in West and those times, we grew up in Campo Rico, and you know them times it was really rough. You understand? I wasn't a wrong, but I still was a wrong. If you understand what I say. So their fear was like me getting caught up with something, and I was like, I was doing something. So you know, it just you you have to make the different decisions in your life, and that would determine how far you go if you be successful or not, because that's really the difference between a rich man and a poor man. I seen people that were rich turn poor in a heartbeat.
For sure.
I seen people that were poor turn rich. Look at 50 Cent.
And he make it back.
He make it back. He doesn't have to worry. I have been there where it's like I don't know how I'm going to get my next meal, or I don't know how I'm gonna get paid, how I'm pay this light bill. But we gonna figure it out.
We're gonna figure it out.
You understand?
And you know that's the beauty of like being an entrepreneur, because it gives you a certain level of like resilience that like that a lot of like people tend to lack when they live in a life where they have like something that's constantly, you know, prepared or presented or provided for them. You know?
You know what? I laugh not because what you say is humor. I laughing because at the thoughts in my head. You know what really pushes me? My pride.
Yeah, for sure. Pride.
You
pride
know
is
what it is for somebody to say, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you so, and you have to give up. So I was like, you know, I don't want to give them that satisfaction.
For sure. You definitely want to make sure that like you know you have enough pride to keep pushing yourself, but definitely gotta keep moving forward. So we're gonna take a short pause for the cars and we're gonna come back to wrap it up. This is Analyze This, Akeem McIntosh, and we're here with Pollo Goodings. We'll be right back. Yes, and we're back here and analyze this. I'm Akeem McIntosh, your guest host, filling in for Neville James, and we're having a very stimulating discussion here on WTJX FM 93.1 with Mr. Pollo Goodings. And Pollo, before we went on the break, you were telling us about, the challenges that you had to overcome with your store in Frederickstead. So let's talk a little bit about how you transitioned from Frederickstead to Castle Coakley.
So, really and truly, it just life happens. I really don't care anyway. So, when I was having a store in Frederickstead, he had the sign out that said for sale.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to sell the building, and after I fixed up the building, I paint inside, outside. I changed. It was actually a food restaurant. A restaurant. Sorry, not food restaurant. Restaurant. And, it's something that was made to cater for food or dining.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed the whole store into a clothing store. Like, it's set up. I had a game room in the back. I had a, like a chill area, a shopping area. And it was a good size. And he was like, yeah, I caught on to the play. Like, I gotta tell people, I may look stupid, but I ain't stupid. I caught on to the play, and he would send people inside there pretending to shop, but really and truly, they were shopping just for the building.
Mm-hmm.
So, they saw inside there, and then one day when the lease was up, getting towards the end of the month, and I was saying like, yeah, I would like to extend the lease, and I want to pay for, I said like 3 months in advance already, because business was doing good at that time. So I want to make sure I get my ducks in a row, because as an entrepreneur, you never know when you're going to get paid. You don't have a paycheck every 2 weeks. And he was like, yeah, I going up to X amount of dollars, which was like almost triple the amount that I was paying. And he's like, yeah, I need the money. I need to do this, yeah.
But you gonna just be straight to you and tell you what he had planned to do?
What got me upset is that it ended up being another bar in Frederickstead.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, keyword, another bar in Frederickstead. And here I'm a young black male, a local, trying to do something different versus than the average, the road that is always taken with it when it comes to young black men. And I let him know, I gave him the story like, yo, I want to do something. This is the streets where I grew up. I want to really do something in here. And I was actually surviving in Frederickstead.
Mm-hmm.
It
wasn't like you were struggling.
It wasn't. People have driven from dead east, and I talking about like St. John area or Tipperary, and just for the shirts. You understand? Them times I used to open up on Sundays. Everybody go beach on Sunday. So I said, well, I go open up on Sunday.
Yeah.
They were like, you
Smart
open on a
move.
Sunday? I said, well.
If Frederickstead busy on a Sunday.
Exactly. Like, it's just people don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
So, I did that. I the fact that I had people come in there, and then he was like, yeah, I'm going up almost triple on the rent. Again, I don't know who you owe, but I can help you.
But you see, and I think it's important that we have this conversation. You know what I mean? Because some people might see that like you were in Frederickstead, or Frederickstead was slow. He probably wasn't doing good. That's how come he had to close. Not realizing that it was basically circumstances that were outside of your control.
I could not control. And Akeem, I noticed, like, I got so mad I almost wanted to cry, like that frustration, because I spent hours bringing up that building. I had electrician come, I had plumbers come, I had my partner them help me out. And it's like, for you to really do that to me after 3 months, I ain't even, if I got a year out of it, I'd have said patience.
Yeah.
But I let this man know this is what he's trying to do. I really appreciate you. I even paid certain months in advance so that way he could think that I'm, finessing him. I let him know, like, look, this is what I'm doing. This is a legit business. Me hiding. This ain't a front for no kind of operation.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing. And, I end up, God make it so. You have to have the faith. I was going to move. move completely off the island.
Oh, what?
I had my car. That same week I was gonna sell my car. I had like with everything I had sold, I had like 11 or 12 grand in my bank account Goodings.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to move to the States, get an apartment, pay for like 6 months, rent in advance, buy a little rag up there and start fresh again and try something. God make it so. 3 days later after closing the store, my other partner, a friend reached out to me. This is why you gotta be good to people. You never know who you gonna meet. Hey, you got a man that got a building, happened to be Castle Coakley, Thomas Bakery, right there by Thomas Bakery, the professional cuts.
Mm-hmm.
And Neil, I gonna big you up. That's my boy. We still good. Neil Thomas, you understand? He own the bakery down in West. One of the sons for Mr. Thomas. And he gave me that spot. And he's like, you know what? Me ain't been making no money on it. I know how it is. Whatever you're paying down in West, I gonna give it to you. I said, what? Thank God. And I went straight to work. I signed that paper. He's like, it was so serious. I learned my lesson from doing that 3-month lease. Now I went above the grade and I was like, you know what? Give me 3 years after that. I making sure I would never do nothing less than a year again. And these things had to happen for me to learn my lesson. So he's like, no, I ain't giving you 3 years, but I'm gonna give you a year. I said, we could work with that. Sign the lease, and immediately I start putting in work. I hear me go again. It's so funny. The leftover paint I had in the store in the buckets is what I use. What I use from Frederickson is what I use at Castle. And I stay out there. And again, Akeem, I have never painted. I got more paint in my locks and on my clothes than in the store. I believe so. I tell you right now. But guess what? I had fun doing it. I made it fun. Sometimes my friend would come. Sometimes nobody come. And guess what? I put on some music and I vibe out and I stay there and paint. Because guess what? I could cuss and complain. Oh, Akeem ain't want to come. Or Pollo ain't want to come. Guess what? It's still there.
Mm-hmm.
What you gonna do?
Still gotta get done.
Exactly. And who wanted it at the end of the day? Me. So I can't ask nobody for it. If I get help, fine, patience. But
So
that's it.
So then what became at that store?
So now, and there's no vibes. I don't want nobody to ever, especially with the Castle Coakley store, it was no vibes. He had let me know from early, like, yo, Pojo, I want to follow my dreams and do it. Now this is an older man, and I said, shoot, who am I to say anything? That's what he wanted to do. You know, let's go. I said, ain't no vibes. He like, yeah, I gonna give you till December. I said, no, let's go now. Because at the end of the day, right, Akeem, this is how I see it as. How I gonna fight you for your thing? He gave me the opportunity to follow my dreams.
So basically, he wanted to use the space.
He wanted to use. So I didn't read the explanation. So he wanted to use the space, and he did it the right way. He came months in advance, and he came like 3 times. So I honestly ain't gonna lie to you. After the second time I went studying him, I was like, man, because we were doing a month-to-month lease, that kind of way. And I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when it would have come. And the day he come, and I was like, you know what? I don't just call it quit. I don't call it. And I held on to it. I wanted to actually close the store from COVID times. I should have closed the store. Look, in hindsight, I should have closed the store from COVID. But because of my pride, I wanted to keep this store because it was a vibe. It's like, yeah, you get your own store. That's a big accomplishment for me, period. I don't care who feel away. The fact that I owned a store, whether I rent in the building or a tent in somebody's yard, it is mine. And that's all I've been saying. I said, I have that. I've created some great memories. It was a nice run. And I had to let go. And now I end up street vending. Sometimes I'm a son here. Sometimes I'm in Home Depot parking lot selling. I don't care. That's when my mother cracked the joke with me. So yeah, he a black Arab. But guess what? I gonna be tired, but I won't be broke. And that's why I tell people, you have to keep moving, because what are you going to do? You gonna complain? Oh, you gonna building?
See,
I ain't crying to
but
nobody.
again, I'm so glad that we having this discussion and that, you know, it's out there for everybody to see and hear. Because at the end of the day, like I said, people are going to see that you open a store in Frederickstead, you open a store in Castle Coakley, and look, you had to close both of them. But again, like you just point out, it wasn't circumstances that were within your control. It was just other people had other intentions for their place, and you just basically, I ain't want to say fall victim, but you know, you were just kind of victim of circumstance.
It is what it is, but these experiences or situations is what put me in a position to where I am right now. The biggest problem we have as humans is adaptivity. You understand? We cannot. That's why most people fail. You understand? They can't pivot in another direction. They will quicker be like, man, I quit. And I said, I rather fail 10 times than quit once.
So now, as you said that, let's talk about, so we basically understand the whole Apollo Legion story from beginning to present, right? So now let's talk about some of your different endeavors. You the DJ, you the play bass, and then you still like build your own home from scratch, literally from scratch.
From scratch. I bought the container here. It was an old beat up container. And I saw the videos on YouTube. I blame YouTube, man, for my craziness.
Hey, listen, I tell people just like how people will say I could do anything through Christ that strengthened me. I could do anything through YouTube that teaches me.
YouTube, you watch I
YouTube
kid you that
University,
people,
my son. I tell you, I got a degree from YouTube.
I feel like I got my doctorate in YouTube because I sleep. So Akeem, I know it was so bad that I went. That used to be my lullaby. I would call it the YouTube lullaby. Because I would go sleep watching these videos. And I watching all these man build a house container home. Oh yeah, it's just 10,000. It's just a little bit. And I kind of get blinded by the fact that these things are not cheap. It's cheaper than building a house.
And then on top of that is St. Croix.
And then you
not in the States.
Then you I did it the right way. I went through DPNR and permits. So whoever trying to think they gonna call DPNR today, you in bad luck. So don't do it. I have my paperwork for you, understand? And I did it the right way, and it came with a lot of, I won't say it's not possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. It's hard work. You understand? And it takes a different level of patience, man. I don't have that. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I mean, obviously you do. Because you were able to accomplish it, and then on top of all of the challenges that you done face, and still were able to bounce back and still doing it. That in itself speaks to how much patience you have and determination that you have.
I think I'm more resilient than anything.
But at the end of the day, you have to have patience to have resilience.
Yeah, I guess so, man. You look at the glass half full. I don't know, man. Right now, it's just me, the thought of giving up or failing or like quitting or giving somebody else a satisfaction. I tell you can't do it. Yeah, I ain't giving you that.
Yeah, I know how it is, my son. I know how it is. Because like I said, I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, I experience, and not these challenges on your level, I would say. But at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, naturally there are challenges that are going to like persist and continue to pop up over and over and over again, you know. But the goal of the challenge is really to teach you a lesson so that you could grow, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a person, as an individual, you know, and help you to get wiser and stronger and make more progress in your life, you know. So and before we go, cause we almost out of time, but I want to make sure to point out that like, you know, you and all entrepreneurs in the territory are inspirations to other people in the community, because ultimately we all have like challenges to overcome. We all face a lot of difficulties.
Definitely.
And you know, it's good to have like entrepreneurs who are successful, who are able to share
you
their
think
story.
Of me as successful?
I mean, you're still doing it, right? And
I just ain't quit. That's all it is.
Exactly. So you got a couple of seconds. Just tell us a little bit more about, or tell us like where we could find you, where we could follow you, stuff like that.
I did not know how much of a inspiration I am until started street vending in Sunny Hills, and sometimes people would pull up and have a conversation with me and tell me, that thing you did years ago, I would forget. Or, for example, I'm giving bass lessons now for a young lady that, I played to the camp as a give back last year. And she remembered that. And she had her mother find me, but you can find me. I'm big on YouTube. I really like pushing the YouTube because I can tell my story. It's my own little diary or / documentary.
What's your channel?
My YouTube channel is Legion Mind in Motion, or you could type in Pollo Goodings, POLLO GOODINGS. That's my Facebook is the same. Apollo Legion at Snap, Apollo_Legion on Snapchat, Instagram, and yeah, that's about it. And shop ApolloLegion.com, please.
Once again,
guys.
Another awesome interview.
Yeah, man.
Analyze this. Pollo, we give thanks. Taking a short pause, and we'll be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters. Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
Yes. Once again, we're back here and Analyze This on WTJX FM 93.1, your MPR radio station in the Virgin Islands. And please remember, never forget, we streaming live on WTJX.org. I am Akeem McIntosh, your guest host. We just had an awesome interview, awesome discussion with Mr. Pollo Goodings. You know, that was a very enlightening and inspirational interview because, you know, he had an opportunity to share some information regarding his story, his challenges, and his successes in doing business in interview, actually like developing his clothing brand, but also all the different endeavors that he has, you know, strived to accomplish and actually been successful at doing. But next up, we have with us Mr. Positive Guidance himself, Jose Bese Gonzalez. Bese, what you saying?
Man.
Yeah. Well, you know, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out, you know, because ultimately, I know it could be difficult sometimes to get up, you know, to get up all the hours to actually come out to do a radio interview.
Yeah, man, it's all good.
So tell us a little bit about you and positive. Well, not so much Positive Guidance right now, but you and how you came to actually get to being, or what inspired you to start Positive Guidance.
I think it started with just, you know, the sport of basketball, and back in the days, you know, just watching certain people, you know, coaching, and coming out of what I got on Harbor View. You know, Harbor View, we didn't have many coaches, so when I reached a certain age, the age of 17, and we didn't have any coach, I just decided to start coaching, you know, the community teams and so forth. And then from there, everything just keep going. I was more dealing. I started with kids, went to adult, and then I just decided to come back and deal with the younger kids them. And then from there, I just used basketball as a tool to kind of try to mentor the kids them, talk to them about family values and stuff like that. And I just happened to be here, you know. Happened to be in this situation now with Positive Guidance.
So when you started, you envisioned it being what it is now?
Actually, no. It was mostly a pure basketball. It was just about basketball. Now it's more about the youths and, you know, the outlet for the youths them. You know, when I started Positive Guidance, it was more into the youths and basketball. You know, but prior to that, it was like just basketball only. You know, and then every year it just upgrades more and more and more. Positive Guidance was created in 2008, but I've been coaching before that, but it's just Positive Guidance itself, or Positive Guidance Youth Club was created in 2008, and from there we just keep upgrading and getting better and better. And now it's like my focus is more on just the kids them outer basketball, like not just basketball. You know, I'm more focused on what they're doing in school. You know, they're not using drugs. They're not on the street, especially with the gang vibes them and the community link ups. Like them is the focus for me right now. You know.
Yeah. And I mean that's important because we ultimately have a lot of children, or just how the way how things set up right now. You know, the way how people living right now. Some parents don't necessarily have. I don't know why I say they don't have the time to spend the time with the children, but sometimes parents have to like work 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. So they aren't always able to supervise the children 100% of the time. And then we have a lot of children growing up in homes without like a father figure. So it's important for them to be exposed to like strong male figures in their life, strong positive male figures, you know.
I totally agree. And I've seen this a long time ago, like with my son when he was in Pee Wee League, and from that was like years ago. And moms outnumber dads at any sporting event, you know. And sports supposed to be so they say a dad or male figure thing, and you know, it is unfortunate. You know, moms have to do everything plus still be to the tournaments or the games or wherever to support and go to school. You know, so it is very rough on a lot of moms when it comes to that. You know, I feel like for me as a father, if it doesn't work out, and I mean history repeats itself, you know, like over 50% of marriages, relationship end up separating. So if you go into that mentality, well, you want to stay with a person, but if you don't, at least you gotta love that child. If you create a child, you know what I mean? And that's another thing I'm trying to inbred in these kids is like, if we start teaching them how to love and, you know, proper emotional, you know what I mean, feelings. I mean, when they get older and they get children, they probably going to want, you know, because they have that in them, they will probably be able
And
to.
a lot of times that like instilling emotional control and things like that, it don't always stem from lectures and actual lessons that you talk to them. And a lot of times it's just from the example, because people naturally learn more from what they see than from what they hear. You're gonna quicker forget what you hear, and you ain't gonna remember. Because I mean, did I always talk about how you could tell somebody a story today, and then by the time you get to 2, 3, 4 people down the road, the story change, right? But if somebody sees something, people gonna always remember specifically they'll quicker remember what they saw than what they heard, exactly what they heard,
I totally agree with that. And I think like a lot of the my players and the kids that grew up came through positive guidance. If they know my son or they met my son, they will see how, you know what I mean? And a lot of them parents are now like, damn, I wish I had a son like you know what I mean? But I feel like sometimes we don't reward our kids them enough. We don't show them and tell them I love you enough. That they just sometimes some parents, especially dads, neglect their kids so much, and then that's where that cold-heartedness is created, that non-emotional. And by they watching me and how me and my son operate, I think a lot of them were like, well, I would want that too, and they have a lot of respect for my son because they know he's a cool dude, you know what I mean, don't cause no trouble. So it's like we have to have more interaction with our kids,
For sure. And we've had this conversation before, right? But I want to put it on the air so other people could hear. Where I don't know if you remember the time where we were at the beach for like a beach thing that you had for the team, right? And I was talking about how like I did a research paper one time when I was in high school, right? A presentation for speech that I had to do. And I remember being so nervous, handshaking, palms sweaty, everything. But the interview was, I mean, not the interview, the presentation was on the effects of like fatherless children, or like something to that effect, growing up with a fatherless child, or something like that. And I remember that something that I learned then was that, a lot of fatherless children tend to lack or struggle with confidence, right? Issues with confidence. And, at that time, I just pick a random topic to talk about. But for whatever reason, that stuck with me. And I start to kind of look at my life and I look at like other children's life. Now, granted, I grew up with my father, right? And my father was a positive influence in my life. But at the same time, when I was playing basketball, my father wasn't necessarily present, right? So I wasn't getting coached or groomed by my father to play basketball. My father wasn't necessarily at my games and them kind of thing. So I didn't realize I used to play great when I was on the street. But when I go in the game now and to play regulation, I used to struggle. I was great defensively, but offensively, I didn't necessarily trust myself and have confidence on the court. I was afraid to make mistakes and end up on the bench, right? Now, I remember I played JV 2 years in Central. My second year, I was a captain, right? And I suck bench most of the year. Who have the captain sucking bench, right? But when we came to the territorial, again, like I tell you, I wasn't great offensively, but I was a beast defensively, right? So when we reached the district championship and the territorial championship, I remember going into that, the coach, she tell me, Miss Dowling, she has said, why she the throw up her hand every time I shoot the ball and them kind of thing, right? So again, that don't necessarily help my confidence, but for whatever reason, the assistant coach saw something in me, right? And I remember one point where we in the game, this is probably either the district championship or the territorial, I can't remember which one, but he like, Akeem, take over this game. And me, no way, it is like he put a battery in my back, my son. I went in the game, stealing everything, scoring everything. I end up playing so well in the district and the territorial championships. And again, I used to suck bench whole season, but I played so well in the district and the territorial championships that I end up winning MVP for that year.
Oh wow. Yeah.
You check. So it
was your moment.
Yeah, but again, it's I attribute it to that one moment where that guy expressed a certain level of confidence in me that helped me to have confidence in myself. And then now, working with you and like coaching and watching other people, watching other children, I look at I think back on like that same presentation that I had back in high school and fatherless children, and then I watch the children who have like a strong relationship with their fathers, and I see how confident they are. You know what I mean? I see the children that don't have a strong relationship, or you don't see the fathers present, and you see how they struggle to perform. Now, granted, that's my own limited experience, you know, but it's just interesting to see, you know, from that research that I did way back when, and to see connections to that. Because even when I look back on some of the greatest players when I was growing up, Rooster and Jubal, their father would do with them all the time. When you look at Craig, Big Craig, his father was with he all the time, and Craig went on to be a what you call it, a national player as well as playing overseas. You know, so I feel like it's important that we really try our best to understand that as men we have a strong role to play in the lives, not just the lives of boys, but also the lives of our females, our girls as well, you know. But again, just speak to how, you know, you feel you have really impacted, or some of the changes or influences you feel like you've had on the youths that have been under you.
You know, for me, you know, a lot of things go untold because it doesn't need to be said. You know, I mean, I've been to court with some kids that had some bad experience, some kids that, you know, were neglected also, and you know, was wrongfully dealt with, and then it got cleared up. You know, I do so much, go to schools, go to parental conference. You know, I do some of these things because sometimes the missing parent, you know, I had a parent that would work, come home 4 o'clock, and would never go attend the child's school for the report card, nothing. And so I took up that responsibility, you know. Wouldn't worry if the child catch the bus or not, how the child get to school. And I got some parents out here that are very horrible. Like, they really need to step it up, you know what I mean? So for me, I feel like if I could deal with a certain amount of kids, and I could influence them, and I could let them carry on some positive ideas, my attributes, and like those positive vibes, and that could be moved on to other kids, then now we have a group of kids that on a beat, you know what I mean, on a positive beat. And I feel like, you know, if more, and there are a lot of more nonprofits that are, you know, involved, but I just don't feel like they're more engaged. The main purpose is to win games, not to engage with that child, you know what I mean? And I'm not knocking nobody. I just feel like it's time to upgrade. It's time to change. You know, we can't deal with these. When the teenagers are 16 and 17, it's very difficult to kind of change their ways or what they're developing now, you know. But that's what we got to get them from early, from small. And put something in their head. Listen, this is a safe place. You know what I mean? Don't disrespect. No bullying. You know what I mean? No, what you using drugs for? You know, if you see them, go the next way. And stuff like that. And just teaching them family cores. Like, you know, I had a situation in which 2 players, one had liked some girl, and the girl stopped talking. The next one, I said, no, you can't do that. She was, you know, that person was talking to that girl. You can't go and talk to that girl.
Bro code.
Yeah, you know, and it's just loyalty, friendship. Like, you know what I mean? How do you think that person is going to trust you? You know, ever again? They ain't going to tell you nothing. But, you know, these little things, you know, could help them to understand trust and loyalty. Oh, a lot of our kids.
But you know, all of that you just talk about, the only way you could have those kind of experiences or those conversations is if you have like a significant relationship with them, you know.
Yeah.
It can't be just that, oh well, I come in to play basketball with you and then I going home, because I play for Jarvis, I play for Dowling. I never really had them kind of conversation with Dowling and Jarvis, you know what I mean? Not to knock them, but it's just, again, certain people compartmentalize when it comes to dealing with like sports and children, whereas you seem like you more entangled with them more so than ain't just coaching and basketball. You know, it's more like friendship and relationship when you're dealing with the youth them, you know.
And that's the whole thing. And just looking back at it, you know, I mean, when I first started with the Harbor View kids them and so forth, I remember a time walking and I see 14 years old and got a joint in there, and I take it out there and I throw it away. You know, I said, don't do this thing, no sir, you know what I mean? And so going back from back then to now, you know what I mean? It's different because I was like about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, but it's like now it's like I've been doing it so long, like it's natural to me. You know, one of the biggest issues I had this summer with me was taking it so personal, but they don't understand how invested I am. You know, I'll go and pick up kids from school, you know, and so I'm very invested in these kids because I want these kids to come out to be something. Not it ain't gonna be about basketball. You know, I brought somebody who deals with finances and trading and talk to them. They were clueless, you know, so it's like to get them engaged in something other than the what's in front of them, you know what I mean? More things, how to be an entrepreneur, how to make money. But sometimes that's the key thing. I could deal with them personally, but sometimes you just need money to have to invest more in these youths, you know what I mean? Carry them to see the world in reference to how else than what's here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I want to get into a little more of that for sure as we continue to progress into the conversation. But I don't want to go too far into it because we're about to take a short pause, and I don't want to have to cut you off in between that. But again, just as we're talking about, you know, the influence that you have in positive guidance, because I mean, you've been doing it a long time. I remember the first time I remember guidance was when I graduated. Well, when I used to go man league, and it used to be guidance in the baby blue. You know, and it actually guidance was always one of like the top teams in the territory, whether it's man league or any other organ, any other like division. You know, and that in itself speaks to how long you've been doing it. That in itself speaks to the reputation that you have in the game, because players wouldn't come to play for you if you was a bad coach or if you was a bad person. You know what I mean? So we're gonna take a short pause for the cars, and we're gonna be right back. Oh, we still got some time. Okay, we still got some time. But yeah, with guidance, right? I remember guidance always had some of the best players, and like I said, it speaks to like your own ability. And when we come back after the break too, I want to talk about how your time working as an officer in YRC, how that even impacted how you deal with the youths, because ultimately that in itself also kind of like help you to kind of know how you would deal with how you would deal with like tougher youths, you know, and tougher situations dealing with the youth them, you know, because all of that plays a role in who they actually become as adults, and kind of like steering them in the right direction so that they don't walk the wrong road. You know, so all of that is things I definitely want to touch on when we get back off our break, because you have a significant influence, and I think the world or the entire territory needs to learn more about that, because you set an example for other coaches throughout the territory as well. And with that, we're going to take a short pause for the cars and be right back. All right. And we're back here and analyze this. I'm Akeem McIntosh, your guest host, and this is WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR radio station in the Virgin Islands. And we're streaming live on WTJX.org. So if you don't have a radio nearby, but you have your phone or you have a computer, you could always check out the website, download the app, and view us, listen to us on those sites. And we're also on Facebook. So if you don't have the app, you could always, and everybody have Facebook. You can always check us out there on WTGX website or Facebook page. So we here with Base, Jose Gonzalez of Positive Guidance. And again, I want to talk a little bit about your time in YRC and how that actually helped you to be a coach or in coach, and not just coaching players, but like coaching individuals in life.
Well, I don't know. I think everything will just be set for people sometimes, because I actually started off at Golden Grove. Did 5.5 years. Within that 5.5 years in Golden Grove, they did, YRC officials did reach out to me to come, and I was like, I'm good at Golden Grove. And then after I just decided, you know what, let me move forward to YRC and see what they have, and it was an immediate change, like I started to see a lot of youngsters now coming in there lacking leadership. The first person that did for them was the quote unquote big man. That's who they were doing things for, that's who they were following. And that was something that I was like, wow, these kids are so easily misled because they have no one there. So for me, I started to just have conversations with them, try to change some of their mindset. It was really hard because, they come in there and, they're going to go back out. They come in and they change. They might have changed just for them there, but then they go back out and they end up in the same environment and then do the same things over and over again. So I just decided to move what I was seeing with them and try to apply it to my youngsters and my players them, and just try to build strong leadership,
But let me ask you something. Any of those people who were in YRC, did they end up like coming over to play with you or be part of your organization?
I had several. I had several that came to play. A lot more that wanted to play, but they would say they want to play when they were in there, but then when they come out, sometimes they got caught, back into the environment. But I had several that I did coach. I did try to work on. Some of them made it to the military. Some of them are in the military now. Some of them working in the States. It's nice to see them, that they found a way to stay off the streets and create a productive life for themselves, and then unfortunately I had one or two of them that was in my organization, and it was like a domestic situation and they ended up in there, and it was disappointing because it was a first for me, and we talked it out, and they themselves are also doing good now. Sometimes sometimes they just need a little shock. And I think I'm glad you brought up the topic of YRC, because I just feel that unfortunately this government is failing YRC. It's failing us, our community, because YRC is supposed to be that middleman in which is supposed to, straighten up the youth them and send them back to be productive
That's basically
citizens.
like the version of Scared Straight.
Yeah, but with better discipline and better, fundamentals, and the thought of, okay, from youth to Golden Grove is just insane. Some of these youths just need proper structure and good discipline. What I mean? At home and gain it to them. Unfortunately, and we have to keep the realization that a lot of these parents at home are not built to deal with their kids. And like you said, some of them are so busy having to provide for their family that they can't tend to the kids as how they should and want. But because of the cost of living, they have to, do what they have to do. And unfortunately, these kids follow other misled kids and then end up in some of these situations. And like YRC was supposed to be that middle thing. And I don't like how it's being ran. They're running it like a detention center. And they not rehabilitating, and not to say that there are people there that wants to rehabilitate them. I think the rehabilitation at worst, it needs to upgrade. It needs to upgrade to today's time, not 30-year-old plan. You know what I mean? But there's nothing going on there now. You know, nothing. Like, they just have a plan to send them Golden Grove, get a building by Golden Grove and put them there. When you need an isolated area, get them to lawn, get them to teach them, exhaust every possibility to rehabilitate.
Yeah, because remember, in adults you're dealing with, is children you're dealing with. I mean, they might be like another number, you know, to bring more money into the institution, but at the same time you have a responsibility to provide avenues for these youths to kind of have outlets for whatever anger, frustration, or angst that they might be carrying, you know, but also help them to like channel and to channel that frustration, and also tap into whatever gifts and talents that they probably have that latent, because you got some children who are like awesome artists. You know, they might be trouble youths, but they good with like writing. They're probably good at music. As a matter of fact, you know, being around the children now, you hearing a lot of them listening to rap, right? And in rap from like people from the States is local Virgin Islanders, local children here. They're rapping. You know what I mean? They're rapping what they're hearing. You know what I mean? But ultimately that's because that's what they're exposed to. Now, if they were in an area, in an environment where they're exposed to more positive, you know, in positive things, they might be inspired to rap about different things. You know, but as you talk about rehabilitation, it's important that our rehabilitation programs don't just entail locking them up for a period of time and taking away their freedoms, but also providing outlets for them to develop certain skills and develop certain like talents that they probably have that nobody probably in like actually trying to tap into.
While I was there, I was telling them that. I was telling them we need to exhaust every opportunity, everything possible to rehabilitate these youths. If it's a mechanic, they don't like mechanic, AAC, it is not AAC, you know, carpentry, like you said, maybe they might. I remember I had one that loved music, you know, so like it's for us to target that, and ain't everything you like when you're young is what you're gonna do when you're older, but at least be able to provide the resources for them to learn and change that thing in which that concept of, well, let me go down, robbing is the better thing, you know, disrespecting is the better thing, and that's where we need to bring that back, and we need to emphasize that so much. We need to like be more importantly like just deal with that situation, because if not, look what's going on now. You know, from 2021 they had over 100 arrests, juvenile arrests, but they only sent 2 juveniles to the youth rehab center. You know, and I'm not, you know, I just feel like I'm not saying to lock them all up. I'm saying that what your message you're sending to these kids is that if I could do the worst thing, I could come and I could slap an old lady today, right? And all I do is going back home. You know, they need to deal with, they need consequences. They need to be dealt with in a certain way, restructure their mind.
Exactly, that's what I was about to say. They need to understand that there's a certain structure to the world. You can't just feel like you're going to come out and you're going to beat up a bus driver and be able to go home. Because then now, what you telling them as an adult that, okay, I could shoot somebody if I want, and I gonna get off. Ain't nothing gonna happen to me. So, you know, you breeding them to be more callous and more carefree. You know, you want to instill in them that, hey, there are consequences to your actions, whether it is stealing a piece of candy or is going as far as to fighting a teacher or a monitor in a school. There are consequences to the action.
And let me tell you, them monitors and them teachers especially, those teachers, I feel I think eventually if this continues and there's no accountability for these youths, it's going to end up being, you're going to have, them teachers going to have to fight for hazardous pay. Because they're in a hazardous environment. Some of these kids are rootless. Unfortunately, they just, sometimes they don't, you know, sometimes you got tame. Sometimes you just need to tame them, cool them down, and open their minds that that's not always the world. You know what I mean? And we as adults owe these youths that, you know what I mean? We owe them that because they're still learning. You know, they only learning what they in the front of them. You know, put them in an environment in which, look, this is available.
So now, as you said that, right, let's go back to positive guidance, and again, the positive environment that you're creating for these youths. One of the things that I admire about positive guidance specifically is that you create not just opportunities for the youths to stay away or steer clear of like the negative, but you also create opportunities to expose them to things that they probably wouldn't have been exposed to if they weren't part of the organization. Meaning, you give them opportunities to travel and see different states and different levels of competition and different environments. So talk about that and what made you want to do that, and some of the challenges and successes revolving around those endeavors.
Well, the key thing to that is this, if you're within an organization, especially elementary, middle school, and of course, high school and part of high school, 16 to 18 is a whole different vibes, but anything under that, you have to maintain a certain grade point average. You can't be failing no class to travel. So like you want to travel? Okay. Are you passing your class?
Yeah, it's actually a big motivation.
Yeah, and up to just recently, a child wasn't doing good. He started out bad. He's in 6th, 7th grade, and he started out bad. And take away basketball from him, and now his grades gone up. But my conversation to him was, why did you have to get there? You know what I mean? You should never go there and have one thing motivate you, you know what I mean, to have to do this. That should be your only goal right there. So, but the thing is like to travel, you know what I mean? You have to maintain a good grade. You have to be behaving, and representing yourself, your family, and positive guidance in a good way. So that's the first key thing. But then now when we're traveling I've had so many kids. This is the first time I've been to the States. And some of them been 15, 14, and never been to the States. And Puerto Rico, back in the days, we used to go Puerto Rico a lot. And some kids never left the island. And it's just to see how their reactions are and how they want to do good to be able to, for the next opportunity, is what motivates, me and them to continue. And in all of that, I feel like if you give that child a candy, you'll be able to, like basketball is a magnet, like giving them that candy there. And I could come into their personal life and tell them, hey, gotta do better at this, you gotta do better at that. Hey, look at it this way, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Everything you have should have multiple options to it. This person upset you, you could walk away. You could respectfully say, okay, no problem. You could cost them. So find your best option.
But that's interesting because I kind of take that's something that's directly applicable to basketball. Because you have your option, your first option, your second option, and your third option in every play.
So you could relate. It relates. You know what I mean? So that it's just some of them little concepts, and I used to do it a lot more then. And I still do it here and there, but I need to this coming year now that we starting. All of that gonna be applied, you know what I mean? Because I want that if a parent takes their child and carry them to another organization, I want to feel good that I provided way more and anything else that any other organization gonna provide. You know what I mean? Some parents gonna just carry their kids because their solely thing is basketball they want to focus on, and they feel like that's a better area for their child to go. I have no problem with that. But when it comes to I want to be able to encourage them to do the right thing, support them. We just celebrated one of our players and bought there at the bowling alley. So a few of them came out, they enjoyed themselves, and that's what you got to do. You got to build that relationship with them. Like we try and create a family atmosphere, and too many times the family structure isn't there. You know what I mean? A lot of these households, they don't have that family structure, you know what I mean? Because it's like we said earlier, mom maybe not home, single parent, dad might not be involved. So at Positive Guidance, I try and create a family atmosphere. We's friends, we's family, we's brothers. We's brothers and sisters because we have girls on the team too. You know what I mean? And so that's my key goal right there. You know what I mean? Because family, when you create a family, then that's where loyalty and trust and these things come in. And that's where I keep preaching to these kids.
Yeah, and not only that, but it kind of gives them another reason or more motivation to not stray, or to not to want to do better, because ultimately if you have a family, if you part of like a prestigious family, you're gonna be like, wow, okay, I can't do this and that because I can't embarrass my mother or I can't embarrass my father, and basically it would be the same thing by being associated with positive guidance. You're gonna want to be a youth from positive guidance and you involved in like negativity.
Yeah.
'Cause that's basically counter to what positive guidance stands for.
Contradicting, yeah.
So ultimately it's good that you have that intention or that mindset where you want to instill certain values in the youth them, and ain't just about the basketball, but it's about creating a family atmosphere, because like we mentioned, it's important that they're able to come to you and talk to you, because a lot of them don't have nobody to talk to, so to be able to come to a coach and have a meaningful conversation about what's going on at home, to talk about, well, why my girlfriend just break my heart, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, I can't focus. These are things that youths definitely need a person that they could talk to about those things.
And I've mentioned it to some of the kids, and I gotta mention it again. I'm always open to talk. I'm retired now, so anything add to my plate here and there, I'm glad, because
As you talk about that, how has retirement really like influenced, or like how has life changed with retirement and dealing with positive guidance?
Well, I got a lot of time on my hand, too much time at times. But it allows me to be available now. Before, when I was working, I would have to leave work, or not going to work, call in, take time off to go and deal with the kids, them to travel. Now I have no explanation to no one, so whenever we travel, I don't have to worry about asking them for leave and stuff like that. And a lot of people were upset when I used to work. They used to be upset. Oh, why you going with the kids them here and there? Like, I can't understand. We're in the youth rehab field. We're in the youth field. I'm carrying kids away to play basketball, to kind of keep them out of here. But you're upset with me for that. And it just, from there, I know it was just baffling, you know what I mean?
And that's interesting, because basically you would think that being in youth rehabilitation, you would want to engage in like, taking the youths to a way to like travel, because again, you're giving them an outlet for different experiences, and showing them like there's a different road, there's a different route that you could walk. You don't necessarily have to engage in violence, you don't necessarily have to engage in crime, because ultimately this helps them to then see life in with a different lens, rather than having to feel like, okay, well, I gonna just stick this way. This is why I know, and this is why I gonna stick with. So you would think that YRC or like youth rehabilitation would want to provide them with a different avenue. But we're gonna take another pause for the cars, and we're gonna be right back. This is Analyze This. Akeem McIntosh. We're here with BC for positive guidance, and we'll be right back after these messages. All right, so we back here and analyze this. We there with BC, positive guidance. So basically, let's talk a little bit about the infrastructure, the basketball infrastructure in the Virgin Islands. We have, with positive guidance, we already know you're taking them away and giving them opportunities to play on different levels in different environment and experience different intensity of competition, right? Talk about how that, in addition to all of the basketball tournaments, from the guidance tournament to the alliance tournament to Roy Peterson and process in St. Thomas, how all of these different levels of interaction or competition, in addition to you traveling, how have you seen the youths develop from that?
To be honest, the youths have developed because years ago, 15 years ago, when Ronald Charles had kind of, not that long, but when they had kind of stopped, it didn't have anything for the kids. It didn't have no leagues, it didn't have no tournaments.
And just we can't just blow past that. Ronald Charles was a great basketball player coming out of the Virgin Islands. He actually just recently passed this year.
Yeah.
So gotta make sure to honor him.
Yeah, definitely, rest in peace, Ronald Charles. And I've met him, and good vibes, good people. But the person that was running it, was Johnny Clemens. And actually Johnny Clemens is the main person and the pivotal person that led me back into dealing with youths starting from 6 and 7 years old. He was like, basically, this will be good for you. And I kind of I don't know. And I said, no, I took his word and I jumped on it. And ever since, I just been dealing with the youths, and then positive guidance, came up and so forth. But when you're dealing with the inter-island tournaments, it's really good. It's good development. It's not the highest development, to be honest, but it is good development. Without it, it won't have anything. You know what I mean? So the reason I say that is because we need more leagues. Leagues are for developing and learning. So when you go into tournaments, is to win. Leagues is to develop. And so a lot of people don't understand that concept. And I've had coaches help me coach and didn't understand that concept because they're like, no, we try and develop the kids. We can't develop the kids in a tournament.
I see. So, because with the league, you gain more regular opportunities to play.
Yes.
So it's constant rather than the tournament. No, you use the tournament that's supposed to be like your highlight, taking your skills and using it to compete to win. We now using that as a means to develop the kids.
Yeah, and we kind of now positive guidance and IGT and yourself. It's a guidance thing. Was created because it had no space on that age group with positive guidance for those kids. So we recreated IGT so these kids could now develop and play in tournaments. Now we're seeing other organizations doing it. The difference is they're not traveling with them kids. We do still, because we are so focused on developing, but back to the, the infrastructure of how it's really good. It's competitive. I think us coaches are taking it, and especially us coaches are taking it a little too personal than the players, and not allowing the players them to play, and I think we need to go back to understanding like, hey, let these players play, and let them still
take our personal feelings out of it and give them the opportunity to develop. And I want to put and air conversations that we had, right? Because I remember so I coaching with positive guidance recently, right? I recently started coaching with positive guidance, and I coach in IGT, which is basically the development team, right? And I have had conversations with you where I was like, we probably need to balance the team a little bit more, because it could be demoralizing for the players and the development team to be getting like blowout and them kind of stuff. And you kind of like, I don't want to say you put me in my place, but you just put things in perspective for me that really ain't necessarily about just winning, It's more about giving the youths an opportunity to play and to get an experience. And that's something I really didn't think about, because a lot of players, and again, going back to my personal experience, It wasn't I was a bad player. I just didn't have like the emotional capacity to deal with the intensity and the pressure that came with being in that position and in like a regulation game, right? So having a development team where players who ain't necessarily on that level are able to get comfortable being in that kind of position, playing under that kind of pressure and making real-time game situation decisions is important, because that in itself, you could have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have the confidence, if you ain't comfortable under pressure where you could think calmly under pressure, you ain't gonna be able to play well. And the only way you're gonna get an opportunity is by having more, the only way you're gonna get there is by having more and more opportunities to be in that situation, to get comfortable in that situation. And that's where the development team comes in, because now, like you say, if you have balanced positive, take some of the better players from positive guidance and blend them with IGT, which is a development team. What end up happening, some of the players from that's unpositive guidance, who are considered the better players or more experienced players, they're going to be the ones that play most of the time on IGT. And the players who need the development and who need the experience, they're going to end up sitting on the bench, right? So it makes sense that, like I said, you really put things into perspective for me, that IGT as a development team is not about winning. It's about getting all the players an opportunity to play, and not just play just for the sake of playing, but play to develop themselves. So you kind, like I said, you open my eyes as a coach that is not always just about winning, and the players might not always see it. But like I said, when I look at my son, I see how he himself has developed from playing at IGT, even playing with Free Will. He was always one of the better players, but he would always be on a losing team, and it would be frustrating for him. But in all honesty, he has only gotten where he is right now because of the fact that he was playing on these losing teams, and he was always given an opportunity to play. Otherwise, if he was on a better team, he might have been struggling for a spot on the court. So I gotta commend you for that.
And thanks, man. And it's just having that mature, open discussion to be able to understand and listen, because being transparent with one another, and you might be able to see something. And you've told me some stuff recently, like last week, like, hey, there's different types of training, and team building training is also one of it, and I didn't really see it from that perspective, and it makes so much sense, because when you get a team building and you got that training, and it's so funny because we have training on Tuesday, and one of the key things that Tremaine said was, I need to boost each other up. I need to help you. When this person fall, pick him up. And it's the same thing is in the same field of team training and bonding and friendship and proper respectful teammates. You know what I mean? But it's just we also need leagues. For a development team to just jump into, we need leagues. They need to play more. 4 games in a weekend for 4 tournaments in a year, 5 tournaments is not enough. We need leagues.
That makes sense, because they're only playing like 20 games a year. 20.
You know what I mean? And that's not enough. So for me, it's like, but the resources needs to be there. You know what I mean? And the funding that we used to get back in the days, which still was a little, but ain't like that no more. And it's not just because people ain't funding, it's because they have a lot more organizations in different sports.
So let me ask you something. Let's say we wanted to host a league. What would be required, like the bare minimum, just to make it so that we able to play and give the youth an opportunity to exercise their skills?
The bare minimum? Referees don't volunteer no more, so we gotta pay referees.
And what's the average rate for like a referee a game?
As the age go up, like for 7 to 9 or 10 to 12, they might charge you $25 or $30 a game. You know what I mean? 13 or 15, they might charge $40 to $50 a game, around 40 or 50 a game. And so that'll be like somewhere from 60 a game, because you have 2 referees, to 100 a game. And the amount of games, you know what I mean, depends on the amount of teams. And so you're talking about if you get at least, let me say, 50 games, that's up there. You know what I mean? Just based. So because we haven't done a league in a while, the league point of it, because to run a tournament, we know To run a tournament is basically between $8,000 to $11,000 to run a tournament. You know, anyway in that area, I would say about 8,000 because you still gotta pay for insurance for that tournament. You gotta pay for different stuff in reference to the tournament. But to run a league, which is so much needed,
But you still have to pay for insurance for a league as well.
you still have to pay for, and it's probably gonna be a little bit more because it's a little longer time period. You know. But it's just funding just ain't there, man. Funding ain't there. You know, ain't everybody have it like that. You know?
But you know, I want to highlight because I had a conversation yesterday with the drama club from Good Hope Country Day, right? And we were talking about like, you know, how the youths benefit from being in a drama club, from acting on the stage. They develop greater levels of like confidence, good ability to think on their feet and improvise, to being in the backstage and managing like a whole stage crew, maintaining like the whole stage operations, everybody playing the role. All of these things are important skills that are being transferred to our youths that they could then take into the job force, into the workforce, right? And basically it's the same thing with basketball, where offense, you're teaching them how to be assertive, how to be aggressive, and to go for what they want.
Yeah,
defense, you're showing them how to protect and to defend what's important to them. And then team building, you're teaching them how to work with other people and how to be a team and how to be caring and considerate of other people and the court with you, as well as sportsmanship, looking out for like your opponents, and not necessarily being so much about like winning that you're willing to hurt somebody else just to win. You know what I mean? So all of these are important values that we instill in our youths, which then gonna transfer to them being productive citizens in the community. You know what I mean? Because then again, now being offense, they're gonna go out and be a hustler. They're gonna work for what they want. Defense, they're gonna protect their home, they're gonna protect their family, they're gonna protect the territory. Team building, they're gonna look out for the neighbors. You know, that's one thing that they talk about the community. I mean, the Virgin Islands, or like growing up and living in the Caribbean. If you live in the States and you ain't got you like you don't have a job, you what do they say, dog better than you, right? But if you live here and you don't have a job, you have so much family and neighbors that gonna look out for you. You know what I mean? Definitely. So ultimately, I say all of that to say the skills and like the values that are being instilled in the youths from engaging in sports and engaging in the arts are important to producing productive and like, you know, loving, compassionate citizens in our community. You know, so I say all of that to say whoever is within the sound of our voice, you know, who have some kind of some kind of power, who have some kind of like financial, like, you know, ability, send some money this way so that we could provide leagues for the youths them, because these things provide so many opportunities and serve as like a countermeasure to negativity and violence and crime.
Definitely, you know? and it's appreciated, you know. It's very much appreciated, and we ain't tell you the numbers, but you know, every year, you know, in the summer alone is 100 kids, you know. But after school, we have our after school program and everything like that there, and we talking about up to 50 kids, you know, 50, 60, and we actually about to start again, and so we 20, 30, it could be from 20 to 40 to 50 kids. You know what I mean? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's the things we're dealing with right now. Actually, next week we're going to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So it's like we volunteering. You know what I mean? We ain't getting paid for this. I ain't getting paid for this. I doing it because I want to keep these kids away from the negative vibes going on out there. You know what I mean? So any sponsorship, any funds come our way, trust me, it ain't getting mishandled. It's being dealt with, and they're going towards everything going towards the youths then.
Yeah, you know, one thing I want, well, this is kind of off topic, but something I would like is on topic, but not necessarily about positive guidance specifically, but something I would love to see happen here in the community is develop like shedding for our outdoor courts, because we have all of these outdoor courts, but in this unprecedented heat that we dealing with, how many children going out there to play in that heat? I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, my father them would always tell a story about how they would be on parade ground from like 9 a.m. till about like 9 p.m. But I mean, the sun that they were dealing with back then ain't the same as the sun. Them man said the sun grew up now. You know? So it really ain't the same. So naturally it's to our benefit, if especially especially if we want to provide like positive outlets for the youth. How much it gonna really cost to knock up like a shed that gonna cover the you don't have to protect it from everything. You don't have to enclose it, but at the very least protect it from the wind and the rain.
Puerto Rico has almost every court in Puerto Rico have a little shed in it. You know what I mean? Like even us Positive Guidance right now, we're using Free Will Gymnasium, but I'm looking for a abandoned warehouse or anything like that and contractors that's willing to help us remodel anything that we could have our own facility. Because my ultimate goal is to have a multi-purpose complex. You know what I mean? I know that is going to change lives around here because a multi-purpose complex, right? When you're talking about having a facility, not just for basketball, and just for you to let you know, Positive Guidance is not basketball. We have a volleyball. We have volleyball teams, Positive Guidance volleyball as well, which, you know, my niece, Ty Gonzalez, Shabazz Gonzalez, she's spearheading that. Yeah. So I would love to have a baseball team too, but I can't stretch myself all around, you know?
So with that, we just about out of time. So I want you to like kind of wrap it or close us off by telling us where we could reach you, where we could learn more about Positive Guidance, and if anybody wanted to make sponsorships or donations, how they could get in contact with you to do that.
Yeah, well, you could always reach me on the Positive Guidance page. You know, that's Positive Guidance VI. We have our own page. You could message me. You could send me a friend request. Also, my number 340-626-7559. You know, basic. That's link.
Once again, man, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah,
this is Analyze This. Akeem McIntosh, WTJX. We appreciate you. Until next time, everybody stay blessed. Yes.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.